1 in 8 humans live on this planet with a mental health condition. That's a billion people living with this problem right now. So, if you are between 25 and 45 and watching this after work, you probably already know how this feels from the inside. Because most likely, you did the right things. You went to school, you got your job, and showed up. And still, wages haven't moved. Rent takes half of your money. And debts just are piling up. And at night, when you are sitting at home, your head won't shut up. And this is world's response. A bottle of pills. In the US alone, doctors write hundreds of millions of these prescriptions every year. Antidepressants are now one of the most prescribed drugs in the country. So, the deal was simple. You take one of this every day and your serotonin goes up. It should make you feel better. It should make the economy keep going. Except it didn't. In the year 2000, the US spent about $41 billion treating mental health. And by 2021, that number had grown to $140 billion. So treating it made it more than triple. And depression? Well, in 2015, around 20% of the US adults said that doctors had diagnosed them with depression at some point. By 2023, that number had climbed to 29%. The number of Americans currently being treated has gone up by 50% in less than a decade. Now, this got me thinking, right? We are somehow spending more than we have ever been. And yet, there are more depressed people than there have been. Cancer spending went up and the cancer rate went down. Heart disease spending went up and heart diseases went down. So we have gotten good at spending money and making them disappear, except this. So the question is, why are more people depressed, even though we spend more money trying to help them? Okay, let's start with this bottle, because this bottle represents a 40-year story. The story is that the depression is caused by low serotonin in your brain. Take this magical pill and the serotonin level in your brain goes up. You start feeling better. It is that simple. So it is this story you have been told all your life by your doctors, by the commercials and the wellness industry, until I started looking into this. So here's the problem. In 2022, a researcher based from London, Joanna, did something nobody bothered to do in the last 40 years. She and her team pulled together every major study on the chemical imbalance story. And in their conclusion, they wrote one sentence that should have been on the front news. They concluded that there is no clear evidence that depression is simply caused by low serotonin. Now, this is important because they didn't say that the pills don't work. For some, they do. And some psychiatrists will tell you that these pills save lives. What Joanna's team concluded was that the simple chemical imbalance story that have been told for the last 40 years don't hold up. And the real picture is far more complicated. And researchers who have looked at the internal pharma documents argue that the drug companies kept marketing the simple story long after their own scientists had moved past it. Because by then, this little bottle was a multi-billion-dollar a year industry. So, we built the treatment industry on top of a story that nobody still cannot prove. The pills sometimes help. They don't always, but the disease somehow keeps growing. Which raises another question. If low serotonin isn't the whole answer, what is the other part that we are missing? Let me take you to a village in Maharashtra, India. Picture a cotton farmer. He's about 50. He has a small plot of land that was given to him by his father and his grandfather before that. For a long time, he could feed his family from it. Then a few things changed. The seeds got expensive, the water got harder to come by, and the weather started doing things it had never done before. And the price he could sell his cotton stayed the same. So what did he do? He borrowed money once, then again, and then again. And now he can't sleep. Last year, in India alone, more than 10,000 farmers killed themselves. One country, 1 year. The same pattern shows up in places that look nothing like India. In the UK, around 1.6 million people are sitting on a waiting list for mental health help right now. The system was deliberately broken by 15 years of government cuts. And let me give you an example. In 2018, a man named Errol starved to death at his flat in Nottingham. He was 57. He was too depressed to attend benefits review, so the government cut the money off. The official investigation said that the system has killed him. Let me give you one more perspective. In the US, $1.7 trillion in student debt sits on a generation that was promised college and would set them free. But we know what is the ground reality. They are the first generation in modern American history projected to be poorer than their parents. And their mental health numbers are the worst in the record. So, 3 places, 3 different stories, and same pattern underneath. For a long time, doctors have known the truth about depression. Well, it comes from inside us, from our biology, and from outside us, from our circumstances. It is always both. But the conversation we have been having for 40 years has only been talked about the brain half. Take the pill, try the app, fix yourself. The half nobody puts on billboard is the other one. Rent, debt, a future that doesn't look like one. So your body responds to all of that. When the world doesn't make sense for long enough, the body does what body do. It breaks down. And your body has been telling the truth. So why is nobody talking about it? And why is the same generation that is getting sick quietly doing the same thing their parents and grandparents never did? Let me show you something that took me a while to see. Depression rates in young adults last decade was going up. Birth rates in the same generation are going down. The same young people reporting the highest depression are the same people having the fewest kids ever measured. We have been told that this is about selfishness, too much into careers, too online, and too picky. But the more I think about it, it might be more than that. When you ask young people why they are not having kids, the answer is the same basically in every developed country. That they cannot afford a house, their job isn't stable, and they don't think that future will be any better than now. This isn't a proof of anything. The places losing children fastest are the same places where young people are most depressed. And the reasons people give for both, when you ask them honestly, more or less sounds like the same. Perhaps these are 2 different problems, or maybe it is the same feeling showing up in 2 different ways. Which raises another question. If 1 billion people are getting sicker every day and the people in charge can see it happening, why hasn't anyone tried to fix it? So this is the part where most videos get it wrong. This is where I would show you photos of CEO and tell you should be mad at them. And I will do it because the names do matter, but not for the reason you think. Albert Bourla at Pfizer, Joaquin Duato at Johnson & Johnson, Alex Tew started Calm, Andy started Headspace, and Alon Mathis started BetterHelp. Their pharma companies have been selling us the simpler chemical imbalance story. They built multi-billion dollars company in a market that grew because more people felt worse. If you fired every single one of them tomorrow, I really think that the next person sitting in their chair would do exactly the same thing, because that's what that chair is built for. But here's the thing, none of these people are the actual villain. It is exactly how market is built for. And the industry has zero reason to ask why so many more people keep needing such treatments, because that's not the question for industry to ask. That's not a conspiracy. That's just how money works. And here's the trap. As long as you are fighting your own brain, you are not fighting the housing market. And as long as you're trying to fix yourself, you are not asking why so many of us need fixing. So, if the pills can't save us, and the apps won't save us, and the people in charge have no reason to save us, then who does? And what do they actually know that we don't? Here's who. Trauma psychiatrists, the doctors who worked with the war veterans, abuse survivors, and refugees. People whose pain doesn't come from inside them. It comes from what has been done to them. And here's what they know. What most of us are calling depression isn't one. It is a kind of an injury, a specific one with a name. It is what happens to a soldier who has been forced to do something they know it is wrong. It is what happens to a kid who grows up watching a parent getting crushed by a system that won't help. It is what happens when you are trapped inside something that violates what you believe is right for long enough, and your body starts breaking down. They call it moral injury, and they say the whole generation has it. You weren't asked to fight a war. You were asked to live inside something that takes more than what it gives, and to call it your fault when it breaks you. That's what moral injury looks like. So now you have understood what depression is and what moral injury is. So now the question is, what do we do about it? Based on what I understood, I think there are only 3 things that you can do. First, stop calling it just depression. Therapy helps, pills also help. They are real. But the word depression only points to one half of the story, that is the brain half. So you have to be careful what you're associating the depression to. Second, stop carrying it alone. Find one place where people see your face every week, not online, a real place. Somewhere where you meet and chat with a real person. Third, pick a fight, a specific one, either rent control, student debt collection, higher minimum wages. Find the people already organizing it and show up to those meetings. Countries with less mental illness did not get there with apps. They got there because people fought for specific rules and they won. That's the cure they keep talking about that almost nobody is interested in hearing. Now, let's go back to the start of the video. Remember, there was a question that I asked. Why are more people depressed even though we spend more money trying to help them? Here's the answer. Because most of us were never really depressed. We were injured by a system that took more than it gave and told us that breaking down was our fault. The pills cannot fix it. The apps can't either. And therapy can help you live with it, but it can't fix what's still cutting you. So the money kept going up and the injuries kept piling on. So what you have been calling your personal failure isn't a failure. It is a wound. And your body has been telling you the truth about the world you are living in. You weren't crazy. The world is harder than they ever wanted to admit. So if this video has helped you, send it to one person who has been blaming themselves for something they didn't cause. And that's how it starts becoming something we can actually fix.